Kiran stepped out of the shuttle and felt the soft glow of Vera 9's strange sunlight on his face. The sky was not blue like Earth, but a gentle mix of lavender and gold. The ground beneath him shimmered as if tiny crystals were hidden in the soil. He took a deep breath, feeling both excitement and nervousness. Humans had traveled far, but this world was unlike any they had ever seen. It was alive with colors and shapes that did not exist on Earth. Ahead of him stood the palace of Queen Lyra. Its walls were tall and smooth, made of a crystal-like material that reflected the light in all directions. The towers seemed to grow from the ground like natural formations, yet they were polished and elegant. Kiran had read reports about the palace, but seeing it in person was astonishing. Every detail suggested that the beings who lived here were intelligent, artistic, and very different from humans. Kiran adjusted the strap of his equipment pack and stepped carefully over the glowing stones. A team of human diplomats and scientists followed him. They had come to meet the alien queen and discuss peaceful relations. For months, humans had been communicating with the Varans, learning about their society, technology, and culture. But nothing could prepare Kiran for the reality of standing inside the royal grounds. As they approached the main hall, Kiran noticed small creatures moving quickly along the walls. They were not animals, but helpers of the palace, carrying objects with delicate precision. Their movements were smooth and purposeful, almost as if they were dancing while working. Kiran felt a mix of awe and curiosity. A soft sound drew Kiran's attention. A figure appeared from a corridor to his left. She moved gracefully, her skin shining slightly under the light. Her eyes were large and warm, and her smile seemed calm and welcoming. She wore flowing robes with colors that matched the palace's glow, and her presence felt gentle yet strong. Kiran realized she was the nurse of the queen. The reports had described her as skilled and wise, but they had not captured her natural charm. Kiran could not help himself. He stepped forward and said with a small laugh, "Hello, darling." The word slipped out as a joke. He wanted to lighten the tension of the first encounter, thinking it would make her smile or seem friendly. Myra, the nurse, paused for a moment. Then a soft smile spread across her face. She tilted her head slightly, her eyes meeting his, and said, "You are my mate." Kiran froze. The word sounded strange to him. He had expected confusion or a polite correction, not this. He looked at her, trying to understand what she meant. Myra's expression was calm and sincere. She did not seem angry or amused. Instead, her eyes showed trust. I just meant it as a joke," Kiran stammered. Myra shook her head gently. "In our world, a mate is someone we trust and honor. Your words may have been playful, but I see courage in you. That is why I call you my mate." Kiran felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had heard about the Varan culture, but experiencing it directly was different. Trust and respect were not given lightly here. Calling someone a mate was not casual, it was a sign of deep recognition. He realized that his joke had, by chance, created a connection that could not be ignored. The human team watched silently, unsure of what to say. Some whispered among themselves, surprised by the interaction. Kiran felt a mix of pride and nervousness. He had never imagined that a single word could carry so much meaning on another world. Myra gestured for Kiran to follow her. She led him through the palace corridors, explaining small details of Varan life as they walked. The walls were lined with glowing panels showing patterns that shifted and changed slowly, like living art. The floor beneath them was smooth, reflecting their movements. Every step felt deliberate, as if the palace itself was alive and watching them. "You will meet the queen soon," Myra said, her voice calm and melodic. "She expects all visitors to show respect, but she also values courage and honesty. Do not be afraid to be yourself." Kiran nodded, trying to absorb every word. He wondered how he could balance human manners with the customs of a species so different from his own. The thought was exciting and terrifying at the same time. They reached a room that opened to a vast hall. Sunlight, filtered through crystal walls, fell in shimmering patterns on the floor. Kiran could see the distant figure of Queen Lyra standing near a raised platform. Her presence was commanding. Every movement was graceful, and yet there was a sense of power that made Kiran instinctively straighten his posture. Myra whispered, "Follow me, and remain calm. The queen will judge you not by your words alone, but by your actions and attitude." Kiran took a deep breath and followed her. As he walked, he glanced at Myra. Her smile encouraged him. She seemed to believe in him even before he had done anything worthy of trust. That thought strengthened his confidence. When they approached the queen, Kiran bowed slightly, trying to show respect. Queen Lyra's eyes met his, and for a moment, he felt as if she could see every thought in his mind. Her gaze was sharp, but not cruel. It was like standing in front of a mountain that also welcomed visitors. "You are the human envoy," she said in a voice that was calm but carried weight. "Your journey to our world is long, but your presence here is noted. Speak honestly, act with courage, and you will find respect." Kiran nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty. I will do my best to honor your trust and the trust of your people." Myra's hand brushed gently against his arm. "Remember, my mate, courage is shown in the small choices as well as the large. Trust yourself." Kiran swallowed, feeling a mixture of nervousness and excitement. He realized that the first moments on Vera 9 had already taught him something important. Humor could bridge worlds, trust could form instantly, and bonds could begin in unexpected ways. As they moved further into the palace, Kiran's mind raced with questions and possibilities. He had come here expecting a diplomatic mission, but he had already discovered something more valuable, a connection that might shape not only his experience but the future of humans on Vera 9. Kiran walked beside Myra as they moved deeper into the palace. The hallways were long and filled with soft light that changed color slowly, reflecting off the walls like liquid glass. Every surface shimmered, and Kiran could see his reflection faintly as he moved. It was beautiful, but more than beauty, it felt alive. The palace itself seemed to observe them, guiding their steps. Kiran's mind kept returning to Myra's words. She had called him her mate, and the meaning behind it was unlike anything he had known. On Earth, trust and friendship could grow over time, but here, one word had created a bond strong enough to be recognized by the nurse of a queen. Kiran felt a strange mixture of pride, excitement, and nervousness. Myra walked with her head held high, yet her movements were calm and gentle. "Do not be afraid of what you do not understand," she said softly. "In our culture, words carry weight. Calling someone mate is not a joke. It is an honor. You have shown courage by speaking freely, and that is why I recognize you this way." Kiran nodded. "I did not know it meant so much. I only wanted to make a friendly joke." Myra smiled. "Friendship and humor are important. But sometimes, the truth hides in small acts, even in jokes. Courage shows itself in unexpected moments. You have shown yours." As they walked, Kiran noticed other palace staff watching them. They moved quietly, carrying small objects or adjusting lights along the walls. Some whispered to each other, their expressions curious. Kieran realized that the word mate had ripple effects beyond just him and Myra. In Veyron society, actions and words were observed carefully. One choice could influence many. Kieran felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He had come here to build peaceful relations, and now he understood that every word, every gesture, mattered more than he had imagined. Yet, despite the pressure, he felt a spark of confidence. If Myra could trust him, perhaps he could learn to navigate this world. They entered a large room filled with floating lights that moved like slow fireflies. The ceiling was high and arched, and the floor was smooth and reflective. At the center of the room, a holographic map displayed the surface of Veyron 9, showing cities, rivers, and forests glowing softly. Myra gestured to the map. "This is where you will begin your training in our culture," she said. "Understanding the land and our people is as important as understanding our words. To be accepted as an ally, you must learn how we live, how we think, and how we protect what we value." Kieran leaned closer to the map, studying the glowing patterns. "It looks incredible. Everything here is so different from Earth." Myra nodded. "Our planet has evolved in ways you might not expect. We value life in all its forms. Trust and courage guide our decisions. You must learn to respect that fully if you wish to be effective here." Kieran felt a surge of determination. He had trained for space exploration, diplomacy, and even alien languages, but this was a test of something deeper. He needed to understand hearts and minds, not just words. And Myra, by calling him her mate, had already shown him a path. Over the next hours, Myra guided him through palace customs. She showed him how to greet different officials, how to speak politely without appearing weak, and how to observe without judgment. Every lesson had subtle meaning, and Kieran realized that even simple gestures could have consequences. A nod could be respect, a glance could offend, and a smile could forge alliances. During a pause, Kieran asked, "Why did you smile when I said darling?" Most people would have been confused. Myra's eyes shone with warmth. "Because you were honest in your intention. Humor can be a bridge. It can reveal character. Many speak carefully, hiding fear or doubt, but you showed bravery in being yourself. That is why I called you mate. It was not just words. It was recognition of your spirit." Kieran felt a deep respect for her. Myra was not only wise but intuitive. She understood people in ways that surpassed logic. Humans relied on reason, but here, connection and perception mattered just as much. As evening approached, the palace changed its glow. Soft amber light bathed the halls, and floating lights drifted around like tiny stars. Kieran and Myra walked to a balcony overlooking the city. Veyron 9's surface glowed with bioluminescent rivers, crystal forests, and distant towers sparkling in the dusk. "The world is alive," Kieran said quietly, almost to himself. "Yes," Myra replied. "It responds to our actions, our courage, our choices. Trust is a living thing here. It can grow, or it can fade. You have already planted the seed, mate." Kieran turned to look at her. He felt a connection he could not explain. It was not romance, at least not yet. It was trust, understanding, and recognition. In this strange alien world, he felt seen in a way he had never experienced on Earth. Suddenly, the calm was broken by a soft alarm in the palace. Small lights flashed along the walls, signaling the arrival of important visitors. Myra gestured for Kieran to follow. "The Queen will meet you soon. Be ready to show courage and honesty." That is what matters most. Kiran swallowed hard. He had expected formal meetings, discussions, and negotiations, but he realized he might be tested in unexpected ways. Varans valued actions more than words. If he faltered, it could affect not just him, but the relationship between humans and Varans. He took a deep breath and straightened his posture. Myra's hand brushed lightly against his arm, a gentle encouragement. "Remember, mate," she said softly. "Trust yourself. Courage is in small steps as much as in great deeds." Kiran felt a sense of calm. Myra had faith in him, and that faith strengthened his own resolve. He was here as a visitor from another world, but with guidance and trust, he could navigate this alien land. As they entered the Queen's chamber, Kiran felt anticipation mixed with curiosity. He did not know what awaited him, but one thing was clear: his journey on Vera 9 had already begun in a way he could never have imagined. A simple joke had opened a door to understanding, and Myra's recognition had set the stage for a bond that might change everything. Kiran stood in the Queen's chamber, taking in the grand beauty of the space. The walls were high and made of the same crystal material that reflected soft, moving colors. The floor was smooth, cool beneath his feet, and the air was fresh and filled with a faint, pleasant fragrance. From every direction, lights floated gently, moving like tiny stars. Kiran could not help but feel that this palace was alive. Every detail seemed to have purpose and meaning, a reflection of the intelligence and artistry of the Varans. Myra, his mate, walked beside him with grace and calm. She guided him toward a smaller room at the side of the chamber. Before meeting the Queen formally, she said, "You must understand our culture. Knowing our ways will allow you to act with respect and insight. Humans often focus on words, but we value understanding, courage, and connection above all." Kiran nodded. "I want to learn. Everything here is so different, and I do not want to offend anyone." Myra smiled. "Then you already have the right attitude. Observe carefully, listen fully, and act with honesty. That is how trust grows." The room they entered was filled with holographic displays, each showing aspects of Varan life. There were images of cities, forests, rivers, and creatures unique to Varan 9. Some displays showed daily routines, festivals, and rituals. Kiran leaned closer, fascinated by the details. "Everything here is so organized and beautiful. It looks almost like it has its own life." Myra nodded. "Vera 9 responds to us as much as we respond to it. We believe that life is connected, and respect is earned through action. You must learn to see beyond what appears and understand what matters." She guided him to a small platform where Kiran was instructed to practice gestures used in Varan communication. Unlike human gestures, they were subtle. A slight tilt of the head could express agreement, a hand movement could show respect, and the way one stood could demonstrate courage. Kiran moved slowly, imitating her. Myra watched carefully, occasionally adjusting his posture or guiding his hand. "Body language here is not simple," she explained. "It carries meaning. A gesture can show respect, trust, or even challenge someone. You must be aware of what you do, always." Kiran tried to remember every detail. Humans often relied on spoken language, but here, words alone were not enough. Even a small mistake could be misunderstood. He realized that Myra had called him mate not just as a term of closeness, but as recognition of his courage and character. After practicing gestures, Myra took him to a quiet balcony overlooking the glowing city. The rivers shimmered like liquid light, and the towers sparkled with gentle brilliance. Kiran felt the city pulsing with life, as if it was aware of its inhabitants. "Observe carefully," Myra said. "Every building, every river, every movement tells a story. Understanding this world is not just about learning rules. It is about connecting with life itself." Kiran took a deep breath. "It is so different from Earth. Everything feels alive." Myra smiled. "That is because it is. We value life in all its forms. You must see people, animals, plants, and even objects as connected. Trust grows from understanding this connection." They returned inside, and Myra began teaching Kiran about the social structure of the Vayrans. She explained that the queen ruled not through fear, but through wisdom and mutual respect. Every citizen had a role, and every action mattered. Decisions were made carefully, considering both the present and the future. "You must remember this," Myra said. "Actions speak louder than words. Even small choices can influence trust and respect. Courage is recognized, honesty is valued, and connection is rewarded." Kiran listened carefully, feeling the weight of her words. On Earth, leaders often relied on force or negotiation, but here, the essence of leadership was understanding and integrity. He realized that his role as a human envoy would require more than diplomacy. He would need to act with courage and wisdom in every situation. Myra then taught him about Veyran customs regarding visitors. Certain colors, gestures, and tones were considered polite. Others could unintentionally offend. Kiran practiced speaking with the right tone, moving his hands gracefully, and bowing correctly. Each adjustment felt small but important. "You will meet others soon," Myra said. "Your behavior will be observed. Trust will be built or broken by what you do, not only by what you say. Always remember, mate, courage and honesty matter most." Kiran nodded, feeling a mix of nervousness and determination. He understood now that every action counted. The word mate, which had first startled him, now felt like a promise. He had been given trust, and it was his responsibility to honor it. After several hours of lessons, Myra led Kiran to a garden inside the palace. It was unlike any garden he had seen before. The plants glowed softly, and streams of water reflected the floating lights. Creatures moved calmly among the flowers, not afraid of humans. Myra encouraged Kiran to walk slowly, observing the life around him. "See how everything interacts," she said. "Trust grows when you respect life. Even small actions, like stepping carefully or speaking kindly, have impact. Understanding our world is understanding trust itself." Kiran walked among the glowing plants, feeling a sense of peace. Myra's teachings were more than lessons, they were ways to see the world differently. He realized that being a mate was not only about personal connection but also about understanding responsibility. As evening approached, the palace's lights dimmed slightly, creating soft shadows. Kiran and Myra returned to the chamber, where she explained the final part of his lesson for the day, observing courage in others. She showed him videos of past leaders and citizens acting bravely, solving problems, and helping one another. "Courage is not just fighting," she said. "It is acting with honesty, protecting life, and making choices that are right even when they are hard. That is how trust grows. That is how you will be recognized in our world." Kiran watched carefully, absorbing every example. He understood now that the Vayrans valued action over appearance. Words mattered, but only if backed by integrity and courage. He felt both challenged and inspired. Before the day ended, Myra turned to him. "You have learned much today, mate. Remember, every step you take, every choice you make, shows who you are. Be honest, be brave, and trust yourself. That is the path to respect and understanding in our world. Kiran nodded. I will do my best, Myra. Thank you for guiding me. She smiled warmly. You have already shown courage by being yourself. Keep that, and you will find your place here. Kiran left the room with a sense of purpose. His first day of learning Veyron culture had opened his eyes. Humor, honesty, courage, and respect could bridge worlds. And with Myra guiding him as his mate, he felt ready to face whatever challenges awaited him on Veyron 9. The adventure had only begun, but Kiran knew that understanding this alien culture was the key to building trust, forming bonds, and creating a lasting alliance between humans and Veyrons. Kiran woke early, feeling the soft glow of Veyron 9's morning light filtering through the crystal walls of the palace. The city outside shimmered as the sun rose, reflecting on the rivers and towers with golden brilliance. It was peaceful, almost dreamlike. Kiran had grown more comfortable walking through the halls and gardens, guided by Myra, his mate. Yet he knew that this calm could change quickly on a world as alive and complex as Veyron 9. Myra appeared at the doorway, her expression serious but calm. There is news, she said. A fleet from a neighboring star system approaches. They are hostile and may threaten our people. Kiran felt a sharp rush of concern. He had come here expecting diplomacy, learning culture, and forming alliances, not conflict. What can we do? He asked, his voice steady despite the tension he felt. Myra's eyes were firm. We must prepare. The Queen has called for all capable beings to assist in defense. You, as a representative of humans, will help coordinate strategy with us. Courage and intelligence are needed now more than ever. Kiran nodded. He had trained for emergencies on Earth and in space, but nothing compared to defending a planet full of intelligent life that was so different from his own. He felt a mix of fear and determination. Myra's trust in him, as her mate, strengthened his resolve. They moved quickly to a command chamber where holographic maps and displays were already active. Veyron officers, humans, and other delegates worked side by side. Kiran noticed the calm efficiency of the Veyrons. They did not panic. Every movement was precise, every command measured. Myra gestured for Kiran to stand beside her. Observe first, then contribute, she advised. Trust and understanding guide strategy here. Each action, each word, matters. Kiran studied the holographic map carefully. Enemy ships were approaching in formation, moving fast but predictably. He pointed out a potential weak point in their formation. Myra nodded. Your insight is valuable, mate. This will help us plan defenses and protect civilians. Together, they coordinated human and Veyron teams. Kiran helped organize evacuation routes, set up communication channels, and advised on tactics to slow the enemy's advance. Myra communicated with the palace defenders, ensuring coordination between human and Veyron forces. Watching her, Kiran realized why she was respected by everyone. She was calm, intelligent, and strong, yet compassionate. As preparations continued, Kiran felt a new layer of understanding of Veyron culture. Trust was not just a word. It was action. Myra's trust in him, his own careful actions, and the cooperation of the humans and Veyrons formed a bond stronger than words. Together, they were preparing to protect a world that depended on them. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the palace. Red lights flashed along the walls. The enemy fleet had entered the planet's orbit. Kiran and Myra moved to a large viewing chamber, watching the sky fill with strange, dark ships. They were unlike any vessel Kiran had seen before, sharp-edged and menacing. "They are serious," Myra said quietly. "But we are ready. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear, but action despite it. Lead where you are needed." Kiran nodded. He felt a surge of responsibility. This was no longer about diplomacy. It was about protecting life and honoring the trust he had been given. He took a deep breath and moved toward the command panels, ready to assist in the defense. The first wave of attacks began. Enemy ships fired energy beams at Vera 9's outer defenses. The palace shields glowed as they absorbed the impact, but the intensity of the assault was clear. Kiran coordinated with human pilots, suggesting maneuvers to distract and outsmart the attackers. Myra communicated with Veyran commanders, adjusting defenses and ensuring civilians remained safe. During the chaos, Kiran noticed a group of Veyran civilians trapped near a glowing river. Without hesitation, he directed a small human squad to rescue them. Myra appeared beside him, guiding the group and providing protective shields with her knowledge of Veyran technology. Together, they led the civilians to safety. After the first wave, the enemy retreated slightly. Kiran and Myra used the moment to analyze patterns and plan the next moves. They noticed that the invaders were testing defenses, probing for weaknesses. Kiran suggested a coordinated counterattack, combining human agility and Veyran technology. Myra approved, and they quickly relayed the plan to the commanders. As the battle resumed, Kiran moved among the human and Veyran teams, offering advice, encouragement, and strategy. Myra stayed close, her calm presence steadying the defenders. Kiran realized how much he had learned from her. Courage was not only in fighting, but in leadership, in maintaining clarity under pressure, and in trusting others. Hours passed, and the fighting continued. Kiran saw humans and Veyrans working side by side, communicating silently with gestures, glances, and shared understanding. The bond between species grew stronger under the pressure of conflict. Kiran thought back to the first day when Myra had called him mate. That trust had guided him through training, cultural lessons, and now through the first real test of courage. Finally, the enemy fleet began to retreat. Veyran defenses, strengthened by human coordination and strategic planning, had held the line. The palace remained safe, and the city was intact. Kiran and Myra stood together, overlooking the glowing landscape, feeling the relief and quiet triumph of survival. Myra smiled at Kiran. "You have proven courage today, mate. Not only through action, but through thought, decision, and care. The trust you have been given has been honored." Kiran felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He had expected to learn about culture and diplomacy, but now he had experienced the power of trust and courage firsthand. His bond with Myra, his role as mate, and his collaboration with the Veyrans had made a real difference. As the sun set, the city shimmered with soft colors, reflecting the calm after the storm. Kiran knew that the threat from beyond had tested them, but it had also strengthened alliances. He looked at Myra, grateful for her guidance and trust. "I could not have done this without you," he said quietly. Myra placed a hand gently on his arm. "And you would have done it even without me." Trust is not one-sided. It grows when both act with courage and honesty. Today, you proved that our worlds can work together. Kiran smiled, feeling a new sense of purpose. Vera 9 was no longer just an alien world to study or visit. It was a place where humans and Veyrans could stand together, where trust and courage could build bonds stronger than fear or danger. As evening deepened, Kiran knew that this was only the beginning. The challenge had shown him the importance of action, understanding, and partnership. And with Myra as his mate, he felt ready to face whatever the future might bring. Kiran stood at the edge of the palace balcony, looking out at the dark horizon. Enemy ships had returned, this time in larger numbers. The peaceful glow of Vera 9's cities contrasted sharply with the shadow of the looming threat. The humans and Varans were ready, but Kiran knew that the coming battle would test them in ways they had not yet imagined. Myra appeared beside him, her expression calm but determined. The enemy will attempt to break through in waves. We must protect the city and its people. Courage, strategy, and teamwork are our greatest weapons. You, my mate, will guide human forces and coordinate with Varan defenders. Kiran nodded. He had been trained in human tactics, but combining them with Varan technology was a new challenge. The stakes were higher than anything he had faced before. Yet Myra's trust gave him confidence. Being called mate had become more than words, it was a responsibility, a bond of courage and understanding. The first wave hit quickly. Energy beams streaked across the sky, hitting shields and towers. The palace shimmered as protective barriers absorbed the blasts. Kiran directed human pilots to strategic positions, coordinating with Varan commanders who used floating platforms and advanced defenses. Together, they formed a network of resistance, each action timed perfectly. Amid the chaos, Kiran noticed a group of young Varan scouts trapped near a crystalline bridge. Without hesitation, he led a small squad of humans to rescue them. Myra was at his side, projecting energy shields and guiding the scouts to safety. The children looked at Kiran with wide eyes, and he realized that trust and courage were contagious. Even the youngest beings depended on him and Myra, and their safety rested on careful action. The enemy pressed forward with greater intensity, testing defenses at multiple points. Kiran and Myra moved swiftly, giving orders, adjusting tactics, and ensuring no area was left vulnerable. The humans marveled at the Varans' calm precision, while the Varans respected the humans' boldness and quick thinking. Kiran saw firsthand how two species could work together when trust and understanding guided them. Hours passed, and the battle raged. Explosions lit the sky, and glowing shields flashed with energy impacts. Kiran's focus never wavered. He guided pilots, coordinated evacuations, and helped deploy Varan technology where it was most needed. Myra stayed beside him, her calm voice giving direction and encouragement. He realized that courage was not only facing danger but also staying clear-minded under pressure and protecting others. During a lull in the attacks, Kiran and Myra observed the enemy's pattern. They were organized but predictable. Kiran suggested a daring maneuver, a combined strike using human speed and Varan energy weapons to create a diversion. Myra considered it carefully, then nodded. It is risky, but it may turn the tide. Trust yourself, mate. Lead the effort. Kiran's squad moved quickly, weaving through enemy fire with precise timing. Varan defenders followed the plan, striking at the critical points while humans created controlled distractions. The maneuver worked perfectly. Several enemy ships were disabled, forcing the attackers to retreat temporarily. The palace defenders cheered, though there was no time for celebration. The enemy would return. Myra turned to Kiran. You are learning the meaning of courage in action. Not only facing fear but inspiring others to act bravely. Today, your decisions have saved many lives. Kiran felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had thought he came here only as a visitor, someone observing and learning. But now, he was a part of this world's defense, a trusted ally. Being called mate had prepared him for this moment, giving him the confidence to act decisively and lead with care. The enemy regrouped, attacking again with even greater force. This time, Kiran noticed a weak point near the central energy core of the enemy ships. He directed a team to exploit it, coordinating with Myra and the Veyran forces. The plan was executed flawlessly, damaging several enemy vessels and forcing them to withdraw. As the sky cleared, Kiran and Myra looked at the glowing city below. Despite the battle, the city remained intact. Civilians had been protected, and Veyran and human defenders had proven their courage and skill. The bond between the two species had grown stronger under fire, built on trust, respect, and shared effort. Myra placed a hand on Kiran's shoulder. "You have done well, mate. Today, courage was tested, and you proved yourself. Not only in fighting, but in thinking, acting, and caring for others. That is what earns trust here." Kiran nodded, feeling a mix of relief and pride. The battles had been frightening, but they had also shown him the power of connection and cooperation. Trust was not just a word or a title, it was lived through actions and shared responsibility. As evening fell, the palace glowed with a warm, soft light. Kiran and Myra walked along the gardens, observing the calm after the storm. Streams of bioluminescent water reflected the soft light, and plants swayed gently as if recovering from the day's turmoil. Kiran realized that even in the midst of danger, life continued, and it was worth protecting. "The people will remember today," Myra said. "They will remember courage, cooperation, and trust. And they will remember you, my mate, as someone who stood with them when it mattered most." Kiran looked at her, grateful for her guidance and support. "I could not have done this without you," he said quietly. Myra shook her head gently. "No. You would have acted with courage anyway. Trust and friendship strengthen what is already inside you. Today, we learned that together, humans and Veyrans can face any challenge." Kiran felt a strong sense of belonging. Veyra 9 was no longer an alien world to him. It was a place where he had learned, acted, and grown. The trust of Myra, the bond of being mate, and the cooperation of humans and Veyrans had created something extraordinary. As stars appeared in the sky above, Kiran realized that the siege had not only tested strength but also revealed the true meaning of connection. Courage, trust, and action could overcome fear and danger. And with Myra by his side, guiding and believing in him, Kiran felt ready to face whatever challenges awaited. The city below glowed softly, reflecting hope, resilience, and the promise of a future where two worlds could stand together. Kiran knew that this battle was just one step in a larger journey, but it was a step that had solidified bonds and proven that courage and trust could create powerful alliances. Kiran walked through the palace halls, his steps echoing softly against the smooth crystal floors. The glow of Veyra 9's light reflected on the walls, casting patterns that danced like living energy. The city outside was calm now. The enemy fleet had retreated, and the people of Veyra 9 were safe. Kiran's heart still raced from the events of the siege, but he felt a growing sense of pride and purpose. Myra walked beside him, her expression calm but proud. "You have done well, mate," she said. "Today, your actions have been seen by many. Not only by the Queen, but by the citizens. Trust and courage have been demonstrated through your choices." Kiran nodded. "I just did what I thought was right. I could not have done it without your guidance." Myra smiled gently. "Guidance only helps those who are willing to act. You acted with courage, care, and thought. That is what matters most here. The Queen has requested your presence. She wishes to honor your contributions." Kiran felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had faced battles and coordinated defense, but recognition from the Queen was different. It was formal, official, and held great significance in Veyran culture. Myra's trust had prepared him, but now he would face the ultimate acknowledgement. They entered the great chamber where Queen Lyra awaited. The Queen stood tall, her presence commanding yet serene. Her eyes glowed softly under the light, and her movements were precise and deliberate. Kiran bowed slightly, showing respect in the Veyran way, just as Myra had taught him. "You have acted with courage and wisdom," Queen Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. "In a time of great threat, you demonstrated understanding, bravery, and care for our people. Your actions have strengthened the bond between your world and ours." Kiran felt a warmth in his chest. He had expected praise, but the weight of her words, the meaning behind them, was extraordinary. He realized that recognition here was not just for skill or strength. It was for trust, for action that reflected understanding, and for honoring life. Myra stepped forward, standing beside Kiran. She placed a hand gently on his arm and smiled. "You are my mate," she said in front of the court. "Your courage, your honesty, and your choices have earned respect. Today, you are recognized not only by the Queen, but by all who witnessed your actions." Kiran blinked, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. Being called mate by Myra in private had been meaningful, but to hear it publicly, acknowledged by the Queen and the people, was beyond anything he had imagined. He realized that trust and recognition were not just personal, they were shared and celebrated. The Queen continued. "Trust is the foundation of our society. Courage without wisdom, or action without care, is empty. You have shown both. Your presence here strengthens the alliance between humans and Veyrans. We honor your choices and your character." Kiran bowed again. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored to serve and to be trusted." The Queen nodded. "Your actions have made a difference. Remember that courage, trust, and understanding are not only tools of battle but also the foundation of peace. You have shown all three today." Myra led Kiran to a balcony overlooking the city. The lights of Veyra 9 glowed softly, reflecting the calm after the storm. Citizens moved about, many of them smiling and speaking quietly, aware of the events that had taken place. Kiran felt a deep connection to the world and its people. The recognition he had received was not only personal but also a bridge between two worlds. "You have learned the meaning of trust and courage, mate," Myra said softly. "Recognition is not the goal, but a reflection of your choices. You have honored the trust given to you. Remember this, and you will continue to grow." Kiran nodded, feeling a sense of responsibility. He had been honored, but the title of mate and the trust he had earned were not privileges, they were commitments. He knew that his actions would continue to matter, not just in battles, but in building understanding and peace between humans and Veyrans. That evening, Kiran walked through the palace gardens with Myra. The bioluminescent plants glowed softly, and the gentle sound of water flowing through the streams added calm after the chaos of the siege. Kiran felt a sense of peace he had not experienced since arriving on Veyra 9. "I have learned much," Kiran said quietly. "Courage, trust, care, and understanding, all of these matter more than I realized. And being recognized by the Queen, and by you, makes it even clearer how important our choices are." Myra smiled. "Yes, mate. Recognition is not the goal. What matters is action guided by respect and care. Today, you demonstrated all of these qualities. The people see it. The Queen sees it. And I see it. Kiran felt a warmth in his heart. He had come to Vera 9 expecting to observe and learn, but he had become part of something greater. His choices had saved lives, strengthened bonds, and earned trust. The journey that began with a simple joke, calling Myra darling, had grown into something profound. He looked at Myra, grateful for her guidance and trust. "I could not have done this without you," he said sincerely. Myra shook her head gently. "You acted with courage and honesty. That is why you earned trust and recognition. I only guided you. You are worthy of this, mate." Kiran realized that being a mate was more than a personal connection. It was a symbol of responsibility, courage, and the power to influence the lives of many. Myra's trust had been the starting point, but his own choices had carried him forward. As night fell, the palace glowed softly under the light of Vera 9's moons. Kiran stood on the balcony, looking at the city below, feeling connected to this world and its people. The recognition he had received was important, but more important was the understanding he had gained. Courage, trust, and care could create bonds that bridged worlds. He turned to Myra. "What comes next?" he asked. Myra smiled. "The next steps are always learning, protecting, and building. The people trust you, and so do I, mate. Together, we will continue to strengthen the bond between humans and Varans." Kiran nodded, feeling determination and purpose. The siege had tested him, but it had also revealed the meaning of trust, courage, and connection. The recognition he had received was not the end, it was the beginning of a new chapter. As they walked through the glowing gardens, Kiran realized that his journey on Vera 9 had changed him. He had started as a visitor, curious and cautious, but now he was a trusted ally, a mate, and a symbol of courage and understanding. The choices he had made, guided by Myra and his own resolve, had created a bond that would last far beyond the battles and challenges he had faced. Kiran walked through the quiet palace halls, feeling a sense of calm he had never known before. The city of Vera 9 glowed softly under the moons, the aftermath of the recent battle visible only in the gentle adjustments of glowing lights and the subtle hum of energy flowing through the streets. The siege had ended, the enemy fleet had been driven away, and the people were safe. But Kiran knew that life on this world would continue to challenge, teach, and inspire him. Myra appeared at his side, moving with her usual grace. Her smile was warm, but her eyes held a seriousness that reminded Kiran of the lessons he had learned over the past days. "The city is at peace for now," she said, "but peace is never permanent. It must be maintained through understanding, courage, and trust. You, my mate, have proven yourself worthy of that responsibility." Kiran felt a deep warmth in his chest. Being called mate by Myra had begun as a moment of surprise, a playful misunderstanding. Now, it was a bond that carried meaning, responsibility, and mutual respect. He had learned that courage and trust were more than words, they were lived every day, through choices, actions, and care for others. "Thank you, Myra," he said quietly. "I could not have managed any of this without your guidance. Your trust gave me strength when I needed it most." Myra's expression softened. "You had courage within you all along. I only helped you see it. Today, that courage protected our people and strengthened the bond between our worlds. That is what matters, mate." They walked together through the palace gardens. The soft glow of the bioluminescent plants reflected on the streams, creating shimmering paths of light. Kiran paused, taking in the beauty of the world around him. He felt connected not only to the people but to the very life of the planet itself. Everything here seemed alive, aware, and responsive, as Myra had said on his first day. "The people are grateful," Myra said. They see your actions, your decisions, and your care. Humans and Varans now share a bond that will grow stronger with time. Kiran nodded. He had always wanted to explore new worlds, but he realized that exploration meant more than seeing landscapes or discovering technology. It meant understanding people, learning culture, and building connections that could endure. On Vera 9, he had found both challenge and belonging. As they reached a high balcony overlooking the city, Kiran noticed children playing near the glowing rivers, adults tending to the luminous gardens, and citizens quietly celebrating the safety of their home. The city was alive with life and light, a living reflection of the courage and trust that had saved it. You have made a lasting impact, Myra said. Being mate is not just a title. It is a promise to act with honesty, courage, and care. You have kept that promise. Kiran smiled. I want to continue learning, Myra. I want to help the people, protect this world, and strengthen the bond between humans and Varans. I feel like I belong here now. Myra's eyes sparkled with warmth. And you do belong, mate. Trust, courage, and care are the foundations of that belonging. You have proven that you can live by them, and others now trust you as we do. Kiran realized how much he had changed. When he first arrived, he had been nervous, cautious, and unsure of his place. A simple joke had led to trust, trust had led to action, and action had earned recognition. Now, he understood that courage and connection were the real keys to thriving on this world. Over the following days, Kiran continued to work with Myra, the Queen, and other Varans. They repaired the city, strengthened defenses, and taught human teams to integrate more fully with Varan culture. Kiran noticed how small actions like guiding a young Varan child safely across a garden or assisting an elder with energy adjustments created ripples of trust and gratitude. One afternoon, Myra led him to a quiet chamber filled with glowing panels and floating lights. This is a place for reflection, she said. Here, mate, you can consider your journey and what comes next. Courage and trust are not only shown in action but also in thought and understanding. Kiran looked around, feeling the serenity of the space. I never imagined that arriving here would change me so much, he said. I have learned more about trust, courage, and connection than I ever expected. Myra nodded. And your learning is not finished. Every day offers new opportunities to grow. Being mate is about continuing to act with care and bravery, not for recognition, but because it is the right path. Kiran reflected on the journey. From the first day, when a playful word sparked a connection, to the battles and sieges, and finally to recognition and calm, he had experienced growth beyond his imagination. Trust had been the starting point, courage had been the path, and connection had become his reward. Even as night fell, the city glowed softly below. Kiran and Myra stepped onto the balcony, looking out at the stars above. The moons reflected on rivers and towers, creating a serene light across the landscape. Kiran felt at peace, yet alert, knowing that life on Vera 9 would always bring challenges. I feel ready for whatever comes next, Kiran said. With you as my guide, I can face anything. Myra placed her hand gently on his shoulder. And you will, mate. Courage, honesty, and care will always guide you. Together, humans and Varans can protect this world and learn from one another. The bond we share is strong, and it will endure. Kiran smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility and the warmth of trust. Being a mate was no longer a surprise or a simple word. It was a commitment, a connection, and a symbol of courage and respect that could change lives. As the moons rose higher, the city glowed brighter. Kiran looked at Myra, grateful for her trust and guidance. He realized that every moment, from the first playful joke to the trials of battle, had built the foundation of a lasting bond between them. "Thank you, Myra," he said quietly, "for trusting me, guiding me, and showing me what it means to be a true ally." Myra smiled warmly. "And thank you, mate, for choosing to act with courage and care. That choice is what truly matters. Together, we will continue to protect this world, learn from it, and strengthen the bond between our peoples." Kiran felt a sense of purpose that filled him completely. Vera 9 was no longer just a mission or a planet to study. It was a home of connection, trust, and courage, a place where humans and Varans could stand together, guided by choices that mattered and bonds that endured. As night settled across the glowing landscape, Kiran knew that this was a new beginning. A beginning built on trust, courage, and connection. A beginning where he, Myra, and the people of Vera 9 would face the future together.